If I could have your attention, please. Joining us now is Jeff Gordon. He's a 5-time winner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He drives the number 24 3M Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And before we get into Jeff's regularly scheduled media availability, let's hear from Atlanta Motor Speedway President and General Manager Ed Clark.
Good afternoon. On behalf of everyone, Bruton Smith and everyone, we just want to say welcome real quickly. And Jeff, you're going to be receiving quite a few things this year, I'm sure, as people pay tribute to you and your career. Atlanta has a special bond with Jeff Gordon. He started here. He ran his very first race. Some of the most memorable moments in Atlanta Motor Speedway history have involved Jeff. I think 5 wins, celebrated 4 championships here. And a real ambassador for the sport and someone we're all proud to have been able to work with. And you're not going anywhere, so this isn't a goodbye. But we got 2 things we want to present to you. Number one, on behalf of the entire Atlanta Motor Speedway staff, every full-time staff member signed a replica of the program art that we're going to be doing. And Jeff, this is for you.
Thank you.
From all of us. I'm going to sit this back here. And the next thing, you may hate me for this. Can you guys, Dustin, can you guys pull the cover off? What do you give Jeff Gordon, the guy that's got everything? Well, we got a couple of other Gordons coming along. So, Jeff, you won't be running Sprint Cup, but you'll get to be a crew chief for Leo and Ella there. So, a Bandolero car from U.S. Legend Cars, and hopefully we'll see some other Gordons racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway one day, and Jeff, hope this is the start.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, I appreciate you not giving me anything. Leo is, oh my God, he's going to want to sleep in this thing at night. I have a feeling this might end up in his bedroom for a year or 2 before he can drive it, but that's awesome. Thank you so much. You know, I was watching practice earlier with Xfinity, and I saw the Thanks 24 out there on the grass. It really put a big smile on my face. So I appreciate all the effort that you and your staff have done, not just this weekend, but over all the years. You're right. This is a very special place to me. I will certainly never forget that first race here. I'll never forget that driver's meeting. Do you remember that driver's meeting? That was an amazing driver's meeting. You know, for it to be my first one in Cup, and Richard's last one, and the faces that were in there beyond just the drivers was pretty impressive. And I know I've told this story many times that I still have that money clip that Richard handed out that day with my starting position. I wasn't that proud of at the moment. I guess we started 21st, but I'll remember that forever, and I'll always remember Atlanta Motor Speedway as one of my fondest. Not only did I start my Cup career here, I won my very first back the time Busch Grand National race here, and luckily Rick Hendrick happened to be here that day and watched. So this place has done so much for me, and now look what it might do for Leo. So thank you, appreciate that. And I really appreciate it not being a rocking chair, because I think I might be able to fit in that seat.
The season is young, though. You still have many tracks to go to. Jeff, I'm just going to open it up for questions. There's no reason. Let's cut to the chase here. Let's go to Rick Minner right here.
Rick Minner, RacingToday.com. Jeff, you mentioned the Xfinity or Busch race you won here in the spring, I think of '92, before your Cup start. What do you remember about that day, and where do you rank that win as far as the milestones in your career? Where does it stack up, sort of? Yeah, that was a big one. Because not only was it my first win in NASCAR, but there were no slouches that I was racing against that day. If I remember correctly, it was Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt Sr. 3 guys that I had to battle with to win that race. Not to mention some other Cup drivers, as well as
Busch Grand National drivers at the time. So, yeah, that was a big moment. I mean, Bill Davis Racing had really upped their game as far as their race cars and primarily the horsepower under the hood. And this was the first chance that we had to really showcase that year. We really struggled on the bigger tracks the year before that, and then we dominated those types of tracks in '92. And as I mentioned, Rick Hendrick being here that day. I mean, I know, there was a lot of controversy with me and Ford and Bill, moving forward, not being with Bill. I can easily say now it was the right decision, to go with Hendrick Motorsports, and I can honestly say that as grateful as I was for Bill and Ford at that time, my life and my career would not be the same, if Rick Hendrick hadn't have been calling me after that race.
Let's go over here to the far right, Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Has Alan Gustafson given you any kind of limitations or guidelines as far as using the track bar adjuster, and have you used it much in practice?
I was talking on the radio to them, and all of a sudden I saw the number on my dash going up because I was hitting that button as well. So that's the only time I've used it so far. I'm not really one to be big on moving the track bar around, but it is nice to have a tool. We've not got it moves very slow. You have to understand, it moves very slow. It's like almost 5 seconds for it to move an inch. So it's not like it's a tool that you can use every corner or that you plan to use every lap. Some guys might use it more than others, but it is nice to have. And so I think as the season goes on, we'll get more and more comfortable with it. And there'll be certain tracks that you'll want to adjust it more than others. Yeah, you have to understand that, these guys, they put so much detail into the setups to get the setups right so that the springs that we have in, the shocks that we have in, the cross weight, all those things that we have going on, bar load is to give the car a certain amount of grip going in the corner and doing something a little bit different as it loads in the middle of the corner and something different on the exit. So sometimes making that adjustment with the track bar can only hurt some of those other things instead of helping you. So I really look at it as a tool of when you need something fairly major, to happen. Other than that, I don't plan on adjusting it much, but it is nice as that fuel burns, to have something that can help you. And so I'll let you know more after this weekend how much you play around with it, and over the next 5 races especially.
Stay right there with
But
Jeff.
he hasn't given me any guidelines. No, we've just discussed that we're going to do some runs tomorrow by me adjusting it and go from there.
Stay right there with Jeff Gluck to your right. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I'm right next to Bob. You mentioned, I think, that Ella was interested in being a celebrity. Would she ever want to get in a car also? And do you think Leo would actually want to drive?
I don't think she's interested in being a celebrity. I think that she enjoyed the moments of celebrity that she's gotten, and I mean, who doesn't like some attention? So I think that for her it's more of kids telling her at school, being 7 and 8 years old, that, well, you're not going to be on TV anymore after this year, which is, I think that sort of took her back. But it's been a good life lesson, trying to teach her how to handle those types of situations. What were you asking about, Leo?
I was just wondering if either of them would drive this car.
Well, first of all, Mom and Dad are going to have to figure out if he can drive, because we did the go-kart or the quarter midget track, last year a couple of times, and Ella was ready to go. Leo's not quite ready, but I can see him being ready soon. But Mom and Dad were not ready for that. That was terrifying. This thing goes a lot faster than a quarter midget. So as cool as this thing is, it's going to be more on me getting my heart ready for it. But we've ordered 2 quarter midgets this year because we do plan on doing more of it. And when Leo's ready, we've got one for him. So I mean, I think that they're going to drive some cars. I just don't know where it all is going to go.
Let's go right here.
Matt Weaver, PopularSpeed.com. We had Larson in here yesterday talking about the adjustable track bar and how he kind of compared it to his sprint racing and midget racing days, and you have the valve springs, shock springs. Are you in favor with the Sprint Cup car moving forward to have more things that drivers can adjust?
Yeah, I mean, I am, but I can promise you that most of those adjustments, I'm going to defer back to the team and say, here's what I'm feeling. You know, what adjustment would you like me to make? The adjustments and the setups have gotten so advanced now that what I grew up racing with and what used to be common sense as to what works is not the case anymore. You know, it's the exact opposite. Everything that you do today is about body attitude and aerodynamics, and that outweighs a lot of the mechanical grip things of tools that you can do inside the car. But I like having tools. I mean, I think that it's a way to sort of separate the competition a little bit. You know, we've gotten into this common template, and where the cars are so much alike, it's hard to find an edge. That's one of the things I love about a track like Atlanta. The edge comes from the tires wearing and the pace falling off and the groove moving around, and you can separate yourself. So there's some tracks you don't have the ability to move around, so an adjustment like that. And really, this track bar adjuster was really created more for traffic. That's what the reason was, because you know, the car is different in clean air versus in dirty air, and in dirty air, a lot of us are complaining about the cars being real loose. And so they're hoping that, you know, in traffic, maybe that track bar adjuster will be beneficial. So I'm certainly open to some of those ideas, but I do think we need to take them one step at a time and not get too get too many of those options in there too quickly.
Let's go to Paul right there in the middle, and then we'll go to Stan. Raise your hand, Paul.
Just a little off the subject, Jeff. I guess you heard about this 44 car going missing today, and just your thoughts on what Travis is going through.
Yeah, that's tough. We had a kind of a tough start to the day. We had an issue with an oil heater and had to switch out some oil lines and oil tank, and Alan was not real thrilled with the way our morning started, and I wanted to tell him it could be a lot worse. Your car could have been stolen last night. So I really hate that for Travis and those guys. That's a really, really bad way to get your weekend started, and hope they get to the bottom of it.
Let's go to Stan and then to the gentleman next to Paul. Raise your hand there, Stan. Then we'll get to the man to the right of Paul.
Stan Creekmore with CompetitionPlus.com. Okay, Jeff. When you look at your experience at this racetrack, what do you feel is the greatest thing you learned here that helped your career?
Yeah, I mean, the track's changed, quite a bit over the years. So, I love the configuration that I started with here, and then they redid it in the pavement. And it was tough to get used to that new configuration and the pace and the grip level. So I had to change and adapt to that. And then I really liked how it started to wear out to get to where it is today. This is the Atlanta and the type of tracks that I really love. And what you do on those tracks, these circumstances is, you still work hard on getting the balance right. But I love that never get yourself locked into one particular place on the racetrack where you think you need to run. You need to search around. You need to find things. I go back to the tools. We don't really have tools in the car. Now we have the track bar adjuster. But prior to that, your tool was moving around and how you brake in the corner, how you use the throttle, how you get out of the throttle, and you're just constantly. I mean, I've always tried to be real smooth and manage the tires and not abuse the tires. But some of that also can be, you can utilize the track and the width that this track has. I still think Kevin Harvick's the best I've ever seen at going around the bottom and using the yellow line. And I had to adapt to that last year, to hang with him on one of the runs. I got loose running up top, but I don't know. I kind of think that when it comes to running the top, I feel like that's sort of my bread and butter of this place. I've got a certain line in 3 and 4 that I use, and sometimes I can make a different one work in 1 and 2 or 3 and 4 as well. And when those lines in the car are working for me and I hit it right, I feel like we're almost unbeatable. Yep.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Jeff. I just was curious if you're familiar much with the work of Folds of Honor and how unusual it is to be competing in an event that's the lead sponsor is a charity rather than a corporation.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with them. I saw their name out there, and I was wondering what they were. But for somebody who, has a charitable effort as a sponsor in AARP and the Drive to End Hunger, it's been very, very successful. They're very happy with how it's worked out, and I hope the same works for the folks that are sponsoring this race this weekend.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Hey, Jeff. Marissa Lynn with Fox 5 here in Atlanta. What has it meant to you? I know we're only a couple of races in now, but what has it meant to you to see all these fans and have all the tracks kind of recognize you for the career that you've had?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, it's been so far my favorite part. I met with a group of fans earlier today, and just to hear their stories and share pictures, whether it be on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or in person. It's amazing, to experience that with them, and takes you back to some memories. And sometimes I remember those moments, and sometimes I don't. But definitely highlight so far for me has been making the announcement and hearing the overwhelming praise from my peers as well as the fans and the media. It's something you can't anticipate or really be prepared for, and there's definitely been times where it's got me pretty choked up, to think of all the things that I've accomplished and the way people have viewed it over the years.
Right here, Jerry, raise your hand.
Jeff, Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires. I want to expand on another question. You were talking about tools in the car and the adjustable track bar. Do you think those tools and advancements at some point could get drivers in trouble on the track, and especially with you saying that you would defer to your crew?
By trouble, I hope you mean dial the car out, because absolutely. I mean, when I was racing sprint cars, it was when the hydraulic wing adjusters really started to come on. And I remember we had one that went forward, back, left, and right, and I can remember you had two valves, one that moved it left and right, one that moved it front and back, and I can remember being pretty good to start the race, and I was wanting to make it a little bit better, so adjust the wing. Oh, that was good, make it a little bit better, and the next thing I know, I was going backwards, and you just are trying to figure out where it should be and what went wrong and what's going to get you back, and that can easily happen as well with the track bar. I mean, we have a nice digital readout on our dash that tells us where it's at. So I think you're just going to have to read the plus and the minus well, or you can get yourself tuned out the wrong way, and the adjuster's going to need to work well and not have the issue I had today where you can hit it too easily. But I think that I'm going to be using it very cautiously.
Any additional questions for Jeff? If not, Ed, I may have you come back up. Ed, do you want to come up, maybe get some photos
absolutely.
with
Thank you, guys.
Jeff with his new race car?